This is a recorded reading of our virtual mural. To explore the interactive version, visit our website at wayneconservation.org. Foxes mate in winter. Both parents care for pups through the summer until they are able to strike out on their own in the fall. Red foxes are solitary hunters and feed on rodents, rabbits, birds, and other small game. As foragers, wild turkeys spend a good portion of the day scratching in leaf litter to find insects to eat. Looking closely, you'll see a turkey feather left behind at this spot in the mural. Can you find it? Timber rattlesnakes inhabit the mountainous regions of Pennsylvania. They prefer upland forested areas where they forage for small animals like mice and chipmunks. A disturbed rattlesnake will make a distinct buzzing sound by vibrating its tail structure. Each time the snake sheds its skin, another loose, horny segment is left behind, adding to the snake's rattle. Can you find a recently shed skin nearby? Growing snakes molt or shed their skin several times a year. The whole process can take 1 to 2 weeks. Snakes secrete fluid to separate the old skin layer from the new. As the outside layer loosens, the snake's color, even its eyes, appear cloudy or milky. This is a vulnerable time for the snake. When ready, the snake rubs its face along a rough surface to tear the old skin layer open. Then it proceeds to crawl out of its old skin, often leaving the shed mostly intact and usually inside out. Some parts of the Christmas fern remain green throughout the year, making them available for use in decorations at Christmas time. Clusters of Christmas fern make protective habitat for ground feeding and ground nesting birds. Try placing a leaf under a piece of paper. Using the side of an unwrapped crayon, gently rub over top of the paper to create an impression of the leaf below. Freshly fallen leaves work best. An acorn is the fruit of an oak tree. It contains the seed to reproduce a new young tree. However, only a small percentage of acorns survive to sprout. Most serve as an important food source for wildlife. Varying oak tree species will produce acorns with different characteristics. White oak leaves are simple and alternate on a twig. With an overall elliptical shape, the leaves of a white oak tree have between 5 and 9 rounded lobes. On your next walk outside, take along a copy of the DCNR Bureau of Forestry's Guide to Common Trees of Pennsylvania. Learn and explore the trees and forests where you live. A self-guided scavenger hunt can be a great way to explore an autumn day. A quick search online will turn up printable hunting pages for a variety of ages. Go see what you can find. Striped skunks are nocturnal foragers, so you may find them just starting to come out in the evening light. Their notoriously scented oil is produced by a gland under their large tail. Experienced predators typically give the skunk a wide berth to avoid this effective defensive technique. White-throated sparrows usually build their nest on or near the ground. Males and females may have either a tan or a white stripe on their head, and adults will almost always mate with a bird of the opposite color morph. Look for the white-throated sparrow in dense woodland thickets or the undergrowth of a conifer tree. A shelf fungus, turkey tail is one of the most common mushrooms found in North American woods. It works to decompose dead hardwood logs and stumps, returning nutrients to the surrounding earth. First order streams are headwater channels with no upstream tributaries. They form from the collection of groundwater discharge and intermittent surface flow from precipitation. A second order stream forms when two first order streams converge. This network of water movement acts as the circulatory system for the entire watershed. Cavity nesting is a common technique used by some birds and mammals. A cavity nest is a chamber created in the hollow of a tree. Some birds and mammals will excavate their own cavity nest, and others may find the opportunity to move into one that is already there. Keep exploring and find out what lives in this one. Pennsylvania's most common bat species, the big brown bat, is recognized for its large size and steady flight pattern. You can see them emerge at dusk to forage for insects. Bats utter a series of high pitched squeaks which echo off nearby objects. This adaptation helps bats locate food and avoid obstructions when in flight. The autumnal moth is often seen this time of year because this is its flight period. Autumnal moths overwinter as eggs, and larvae spend the early summer feeding on a variety of conifer trees, as well as alder, willow, birch, and poplar. Chipmunks are most active in the early morning or late afternoon. During the fall months, they carry large amounts of food in their cheek pouches to be stored for winter. This food supply will carry them through the colder months, as chipmunks are not true hibernators and will awaken every few days to eat. A chipmunk excavates its burrow underground, and it consists of several separate chambers used for sleeping, storing food, defecating, and giving birth. This chipmunk is gathering leaves to line its cozy nest chamber. Except for brief periods during warm spells, once the chipmunk enters its burrow in late October, it won't emerge again until March or April. All living things leave behind signs. This area of disturbed leaf litter, empty tree nut shells, and a discarded feather is a sign of a wild turkey previously foraging for food in this spot. The Pennsylvania Game Commission studies population responses to changes in harvest regulations, determining the best way to manage wildlife across Pennsylvania. The length of fall turkey hunting season is set more conservatively than the spring season to prevent the overharvesting of females. Hunters may look for signs like this in the woods to track their targeted game. Brook trout are the only native stream dwelling species of trout in the eastern United States. Pennsylvania's official state fish, mature brook trout, are identifiable by blue halos surrounding pink spots on their sides and bellies. Brook trout have sensitive habitat needs, and they live in small, cold, clean streams. These upstream headwaters are where brook trout will spawn in the fall. Females dig a small depression in the gravel called a red, where they leave their eggs. Once fertilized by the male, the eggs will develop over the winter and will hatch in early spring. Mosses are small land plants without vascular systems. They reproduce from spores instead of seeds, And rather than traditional roots, mosses have rhizoids. Forming thick mats on forest rocks and stumps near streams, mosses are commonly found in moist, shady areas. With well over 14,000 different species around the world, mosses do more than just provide great habitat for insects and other invertebrates. They are capable of filtering and retaining water, stabilizing the ground to prevent erosion, and removing carbon dioxide gas from the atmosphere. Virginia creeper is a woody vine that may climb or trail along the ground. It is often mistaken for poison ivy, but this look-alike species has 5 leaves, while poison ivy has only 3. In autumn, this perennial turns a brilliant red. Rock tripe is a common edible lichen that grows on shaded rocks in the forests of eastern North America. There are more than 65 species of rock tripe found in rocky or mountainous environments worldwide. A well known winter warbler in parts of North America, the yellow rump is able to rely on berries as a food source and can remain as far north as the New England coast, while other birds migrate to warmer areas. In the colder months, its plumage becomes subtler, taking on brown overtones. Their spring molt will reveal sharp yellows, deep grays, black, and white. This species of fungus produces very large polymer fruit bodies that resemble a horse's hoof. This fungus is not edible but can be used as tinder for starting a fire. In the fall and winter, adult white-tailed deer display a duller grayish-brown coat as opposed to their bright reddish summer color. Their underparts remain white. A male deer, or buck, will begin to grow its first set of antlers at about 10 months old. From then on, the buck will grow and shed a new set of antlers each year. Lichens develop from the symbiotic relationship of two dissimilar organisms, usually a fungus, an algae, or cyanobacteria, that create a vegetative tissue called a thallus. The fungus forms the outer surface of the lichen body, providing support and protection. The fungus cannot produce its own food and therefore relies on the algae or cyanobacteria for photosynthesis. This relationship is mutually beneficial for both organisms. Most lichens are very sensitive to pollutants and can sometimes serve as an indicator of air quality. Distinguishing between some lichens and moss can be difficult and may require closer examination under a microscope. In general, mosses are green and have small leaf-like structures and stems. Lichens often appear gray or pale white, and many also create disc-shaped fruiting bodies. In Pennsylvania, the northern flying squirrel is endangered and listed as a priority species. They travel primarily by gliding from tree to tree with an average distance of about 65 feet. They are not known to hoard food like other squirrels, but will instead forage mainly in the treetops during the winter months. Pileated woodpeckers whack at dead trees and fallen logs in search of their main prey, carpenter ants. They leave unique rectangular holes in the wood that are then sometimes used by other species as shelter. Both males and females can drum powerfully on trees throughout the year. They drum to claim their territory, to solicit mating, or to alert a mate or in response to an intruder near their nest. The painted hickory borer is a common long-horned beetle that emerges in early spring. Females lay their eggs in severely weakened or recently fallen hickories. After about 12 weeks of feeding, larvae chew a chamber in the sapwood where it will pupate and overwinter. Gray squirrels live in nests and dens. They build leaf nests in trees near food supplies in both summer and fall. Tree dens are often in cavities where limbs have broken off. Gray squirrels eat acorns, hickory nuts, walnuts, beech nuts, berries, mushrooms, and pine seeds. They work to store nuts for winter and can smell to find previously buried caches of food. Those nuts that are unrecovered may sprout and grow into new trees. When poison ivy can't climb up, it will present as ground cover. Each part of this notoriously three-leafed plant produces urticales. Even indirect contact with urticales will cause inflammation, itching, and blistering. Keep away from this one. An erratic boulder differs from the lithology of the bedrock where it sits. It is believed to have been transported a great distance and deposited by glacial action. Erratics can be as small as pebbles or as large as boulders. This erratic boulder could have been moved hundreds of kilometers before the ancient glacier carrying it melted away. The Pennsylvania Game Commission requires hunters to wear fluorescent orange clothing to increase visibility to other hunters. These requirements vary depending on the season, type of hunting, and movements of the hunter. For anyone recreating outdoors during popular hunting seasons, it is advisable to wear bright orange and stay highly visible at all times. A hornet's nest is a paper like structure made from wood chewed by hornets. The size of the nest can depend on the size of the colony. These nests are usually attached to tree branches, shrubs, or on buildings. Hornet nests are annual. They last one summer, and all occupants either freeze or die of old age in the fall. Named for its bark, which peels away in large, flat, curving plates, the shagbark hickory is a member of the walnut family. It produces edible nuts that ripen in the fall. Shagbark hickory can hybridize naturally with butternut hickory, pecan, and shellbark hickory trees. The North American raccoon is the most common and most well known of this nocturnal species. With its distinctive masked face and bushy black banded tail, it's hard to mistake. They are intelligent and inquisitive. In the fall, raccoons will accumulate large amounts of body fat to sustain them through winter. They will become dormant if winter food supplies run short. Autumn glows upon us like a splendid evening. It is the very sunset of the year. Mary Russell Mitford. Thousands of honkers migrate north and south each year in V shaped formations. This flock of Canada geese is likely setting out for a long journey down to warmer weather until after the winter months. They'll make their way back up to the same location in the spring. Farm stands and farmers markets are easy to find in this part of Pennsylvania. Popular during all seasons, these family owned businesses seem to come alive in the fall with a unique kind of energy. You can usually find eggs, dairy products, fresh fruits and vegetables, baked goods, flowers, and even meat, all locally sourced right here in our area. Trees produce their own food through photosynthesis. This process takes place in the leaves, where the chemical chlorophyll uses the sun's energy to transform carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates. When the days grow shorter and the temperatures drop in autumn, leaves stop making food. The chlorophyll breaks down and the green color of the leaf fades to reveal the chemistry of reds, oranges, and yellows we see in fall.